Mathews V3X first impressions. This is actually going to be round 2. So I originally recorded a video of my first impressions the day that these bows came out. I headed to my local shop, Adventures Archery here in Tampa, shot the 29 and the 33, and planned on releasing a video the next day. A couple of things came up. Also got COVID, so you might hear that. And apparently it hit me a little harder than I thought because I was trying to edit that video while I was quarantining, and I somehow corrupted all of the files. So this is going to be round 2, so I'm sorry that this is coming out later. I'm sure there's plenty of other videos that you guys have already seen on this, but here's my first impressions. Something Mathews does really well is they always ship their demo bows and make sure they're in dealers' hands the day of launch. This year they've been shipping a 29-inch model fully loaded with a new sight from Axel that uses the bridge lock system, Q80 integrate rest, the Mathews flatline stabilizer with a QD mount, the little tripod thing that they have, and I'm sure I'm forgetting, oh, the new quiver that they have. And then the 33-inch model has just been bare bow, so it's going to be up to your shop if they set that up, or if you just shoot it bare bow with a whisker biscuit or whatnot. But what I'll tell you is, if you just shoot these bows bare bow, they're going to feel almost identical to bows of years past. Yes, they changed up the axle to axles and the riser length somewhat, but again, unless you're a die-hard Mathews shooter, you're going to be hard-pressed to feel a real tangible difference unless you're shooting it fully rigged up and you're taking advantage of the integrate rest and that bridge lock system, because that dramatically improves the balance over years past. And I was honestly shocked at how well that the new 29 that I shot held both before, during, and after the shot. There are very few bows over the last couple of years that I would consider running without a back bar, but I was so impressed by how that bow felt that I would consider doing that with that 29. I'd have to play with it more. Again, I shot it maybe a total of a dozen times that night, but it just held extremely steady, even with a short stabilizer, the quiver on there, and I did throw some arrows in the quiver, the sight, and the rest and everything else on there. So kudos to Mathews. They really improved on something that I thought has been kind of one of their deficiencies over the last couple of years. So the bridge lock technology, awesome. Oh, and the new dialed Arxos sight does work with the Mathews bridge lock. I shot the 33 bare bow, just a whisker biscuit, and it felt very similar to the bows of years past. And again, that's because the cam systems are virtually identical. They are identical. As far as like shooting sensation, noise, vibration, everything else aside from balance, the bow is very much a Mathews that we've come to know and expect over the last 3-4 years. Now, I have buddies that own Triaxes, Vertixes, Traverses, Atlases, VXRs, V3s, basic Primas, literally every Mathews that's come out over the past 4 or 5 years, they've owned and I've set up once, if not multiple times. In talking to them, it was really interesting to get their feedback, because to the shooters that owned, say like the Triax or the Traverse, the V3X seemed like a much more appetizing proposition. I tend to play contrarian in favor of the manufacturers a lot of times, but that is a valid critique, and I understand if somebody who ordered a V3 this time last year and only received it a couple of months ago because of COVID, I get why they would be really reluctant to put in an order for a V3X. I understand it. I do think it's a better bow because the balance is so much better, but I get it. It's not cheap. Bows are not getting cheaper. As far as the new stay afield system, which is really the only other major development for this year, I think it's a good idea. I would need to really play with it over time to have a better opinion, but I think it's a good idea. Any of us who have been working on our own bows for years have typically used a stick to achieve the same thing, but it's definitely not as clean of a way to work. And that's something that Mathews does very well, is they tend to identify processes or features or things that we've all been jerry-rigging in the field or on the mountain, and they come up with a more professional, well-designed and engineered answer to those things. I know there's a lot of basement bow hunters out there that are saying this is going to just create more work for bow shops and people are going to mess up the bow. Listen, stop, okay? That type of thinking bothers me so much. We shouldn't just be creating products assuming every single person is an idiot. I think people should take responsibility for working on their own bows, and if they do screw up, that's fine. Everybody screws up working on their own bow at some point. So any shop worth their salt is going to help you out and educate you. And if you're a bow shop that's complaining about work, what do you hate, money? If you don't want to fix people's bows, hold classes every month, charge for the classes, sell presses. So those are my first impressions of the new V3Xs. As far as which one I preferred, the 29 or the 33, I've always, for some weird reason, preferred the smaller axle-to-axle Mathews bows. In general, it's not my favorite system, but of the two offerings Mathews tends to put out, I usually lean towards the smaller bow. I don't know why. The shorter, it's one of the few bows where the steeper string angle doesn't bother me. But these are the first of the 2022 bows that I've actually gotten to shoot. My shop hasn't gotten a levitate or the, what is that company? Prime, the Prime inline. They haven't gotten those in yet, but once they do, I'll go shoot them. I will be getting a new bow. Some people were confused by PSC's launch. The Levitate is the new knock-on bow for 2022. Dudley's got his own line within PSC, so PSC will release Dudley's products that he has direct say and influence in, and puts his own spin on. They release those at different times than the rest of their, I guess, you could call them the rest of the flagship line. So they have more bows coming soon. I know Hoyt, I think, just announced today that they're going to be releasing their new bows sometime in December, and Bowtech has yet to release their bows. Stay in tune with social media for these releases. Get to your local pro shops, shoot all of the bows. If you can rig them up with some sort of accessories, definitely do that, because a bare bow doesn't always tell you what that bow will feel like when it's fully rigged up. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you next time.